Hey everyone, it's Brandy from Brandy Burrow Astrology, back with Ellie Adams from Saturn Season Astrology. Welcome back, Ellie.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I feel like it's been forever since we've done an episode for my channel. I've been like, go over to Ellie's channel. I've been around. I've been a guest on her episodes, and they've been amazing. Um, but here we are on my channel doing another forensic astrology. This has, I don't want to say a good outcome, but a great outcome where the person is alive. So today we're doing the Denise Huskins kidnapping. And if you guys have Netflix, this is the story that's on the docuseries called American Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that was a crazy one. You guys, like, I don't want to like take you away from my channel, but if you haven't seen it, go watch it like right now because it's the craziest story. And this is where I feel like I was living under a rock in 2015 because I don't know why I have no memory of this. I know it was in the news.
I have like a vague recollection of it, but I don't remember it as well as I feel like I should.
Yeah, I'm like I don't know where I was. But I'm gonna try to give you a little background of the story, but it's so like it's got so many like twists and turns. I don't. That's why I'm like go watch the documentary because it'll make all this make more sense. But so Denise Huskins kidnapped, okay? And her boyfriend is, I mean, they're both drugged. I guess he's tied up. She is taken. He is like knocked out from sedatives, wakes up later in the day, kind of comes to, is afraid to call police because the kidnappers allegedly put up a camera and said they were watching him. And if he made any wrong moves, that she was, I think they threatened her life, I think. Or anyway, he was scared to like say or report anything. So finally, he reports it to police. And I gotta admit, like, if you watch this like documentary, they have the videos of him talking to the police and they have the 911 call, and it just sounds really odd, like really
Uh-huh.
odd. He's like, someone came in, tied us up, said that they were going to drug us, and like the police basically think the boyfriend's responsible for something happening to her.
And I mean, statistically, though, I mean, they their train of thought going that way wasn't wrong. Now they were real pieces of shit how they actually handled it and executed
Yes.
that.
Yes.
But I mean,
Trying to
statistically,
force a confession. He wasn't detained. He wasn't under arrest. Yeah, I mean, based on what I saw, it looked like they weren't really allowing him to leave. I guess they weren't, or at least letting him know he could leave.
yeah, I don't remember them saying that. They that one piece of shit. He mentioned that at the very beginning that he wasn't under arrest and
Mhm.
wasn't being detained, but never. I don't think I ever remember him saying, "But and you're free to go if you want to."
Yes. And you can tell this guy, the boyfriend, which by the way, his name is Aaron Quinn. Um, you can tell he's not a career criminal. He doesn't like ask for a lawyer. He's like feels like he has this day, and like, it's really it's really sad. And these cops were really trying to force a confession. They're like, you killed her, you know it, you need to tell us, and
They also came up with ways, like
with what?
with
Oh,
ways that he
yes.
did, like when he was taking the polygraph or whatever, the FBI agent was like, "You strangled her," I think, or some weird shit, and it's like, what? Like,
Yes.
what the fuck are you even talking about? There's no
Yes.
body. What are you talking about?
They call in the FBI, they do a polygraph test on him. And they basically, I think, I don't remember exact words, but he's like, I know you failed this. And apparently, I don't even think he did. Like, it was just like they were just trying to
Yeah.
wrap this up, and let's move on. Like, meanwhile, she's out there, like, missing. They're not even like really looking for her. It's awful. They're assuming she's dead. Anyways, like 18 hours, I think, into him being at the police station, he finally is like, I need a lawyer. Like, he finally was like, so they get an attorney in, they get him out of there. But this is weird. So, anyways, kind of fast forwarding, she ends up reappearing. She's released by the kidnapper in Huntington Beach, near coincidentally where her dad lives. Shows up at his apartment, and Vallejo police, which is the whole police department we're talking about, they really accuse her and her boyfriend, Aaron Quinn, of like plotting this kidnapping and that it's a hoax, and they publicly shame them, saying they wasted valuable resources. And I mean, long story short, she was legit kidnapped, sexually assaulted. The boyfriend was innocent, was telling the truth. What he was telling police was what really happened. So it's a crazy story. Crazy. Should we look at the charts to kind of see how this is lining up with everything?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first chart is when she's actually taking according to his timeline.
Yes.
Can we see that okay?
Yes. And the reason it says maybe is everybody is because you know, this is taken from his account, and he was under it was a mix of, I believe, NyQuil and diazepam.
Yes.
So he was under, you know, he was under the influence. It's kind of like, is this I just
It
put
was
maybe
woozy, to say the
exactly.
least.
Exactly. That's why there's a maybe there. As
Yeah. And this is the part of the show where I'd like to thank Ellie. She did my homework this week. We were like, we should do an episode on this. And she found the times, because I was gonna have to go back and rewatch it. She sent me charts, like she did all my homework. So thank you, Ellie. I'm using your screenshots and I want you to have full credit for this.
Oh, well, thank you.
This is what happens when you're friends with a Gemini. Like the focus is not there long enough to get this done. So she sent me the chart. So yes, this is as best as he can remember around the time she was taken.
Yeah.
So Ellie, what do you notice about this chart?
Well, you have something that well, I mean, you got a lot of stuff in the second house, which abductions and things like that, right? So that stands out.
This is like classic abduction chart with that second house, and even like the modern ruler of Aquarius being in there.
Yes, absolutely. That totally stands out, as does you know, the seventh house having Leo on the cusp and being, you know, the house that you would look at for the descendant, being what you would look at for you know, the catalyst or the perpetrator or whatever. You've got the sun in the first house, right? So you've got the perpetrator coming to the victim. That stood out to me as well.
The perp is on the victim's turf coming.
Yes.
What's interesting about this is that you have the co-ruler of the victims. I'm gonna say victims because I feel like that the boyfriend was an absolute victim, and I don't want to like spoil it, but you find out there's other victims too. This is horrible story.
Yeah.
But the co-ruler, the moon, is exalted in Taurus, and then the sun representing the perpetrator is also exalted in Aries. So there's this exaltations going on, which, you know, the cops thought it was a hoax. They thought they were bullshitting. You know, I feel like that's such an exaltation thing, like exaggeration, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And even the moon, you know, co-ruling the victims in the third house with like automobiles and stuff on the move, since this is when or around the time that she was, you know, taken from the house.
Yes, and she says, so she's like basically blindfolded. The guy uses like swim goggles that are
Blacked out,
taped and then put on real tight. Sounds freaking awful.
Yeah,
She's put into a car, and that's part of the story too. I mean, this is like, it's just such an involved story, but
yeah.
And she realizes, she says, I think I was in a Mustang. I could tell by like the way it sounded, which ended up, she described the car just right. But yeah, this is so like literal though. It's like her being put into a car because she said she was in the trunk of the car.
Yeah, it is incredibly literal.
Yeah. And then, you know, we were doing, you know, an episode on Ellie's channel that involved, go over and watch it. It's on the, what did we name it? The Kansas City Chiefs fans.
The Kansas City 3. That's what the
3.
That's what the media is calling them anyway.
So we did an episode on that one that's coming out at the same time. But I bring that up because when we were looking at it, there was a lot of Neptune type stuff coming up. In this chart, you got that Neptune in the first house, which is intercepted. And, you know, the boyfriend is saying he drugged us, you know, and so we got that Neptune stuff coming up in this chart.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I wonder if that could also play into like the weird, you know, like the way that he sounded and seemed in the, when he was being interviewed and even like the 911 call. I wonder if that plays in at all. Like
Yeah, you guys have got to watch it because it's just so like he's very calm
uh-huh.
and very like matter of fact. And I'm not criticizing him. It's just when you're watching this, the way they set up the story, you don't know what's going unless you followed it in the news. You don't know what's going on. And you're sitting here, you're like, why is he so calm? Like, this is really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's probably still like trying to, you know, process the meds out of his system.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And you know, that Saturn conjunct the midheaven, and I know that like like police haven't gotten involved yet at this point, but there is something that feels kind of foreshadowing about them perhaps being a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Saturn is like delays. It's also very authoritarian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's to me that like in resistance, you know, it's like going to be met with some resistance here. It's kind of, yeah, I think it's like a foreshadow of what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll mention, you know, we were talking about the boyfriend. He's like calm. He's like kind of telling the story. And the story sounds like, I mean, it was absolutely true. It just sounds like complete malarkey, though. It's like,
It
you're like,
does.
seriously, you know?
It does. Like, yeah, it totally does.
And I think that's that Mercury's like in a fall here in Pisces right there too. You know, it's like and I'm not laughing at what happened. I'm just like, it's just like it's so sad because here this poor guy is telling the truth and yet it just sounds weird. The cops aren't believing him. Um, you know, you just got the planets placed here, just really kind of outlining what's going on.
I wonder if that could also be the interception thing too. Like he is telling the truth, but it's like they're not seeing it or
Yeah.
believing it kind of
They're,
thing.
they're like, yeah, okay, by the way, why don't you just tell us what happened? We know you killed her. You know, that's basically the way it's going.
Yeah.
Do we want to look at any fixed stars before we go on to the other charts
You
or
want to, sure.
okay. I kind of want to see what's going on around the moon. It's where I'm being pulled to first.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And we always look these up live on the recording. Fun way to do it. Okay, let's see. 15 degrees. We got a 14 degrees and 19 minutes, Taurus. Within about a degree. Let's see. Disease, throat trouble, disgrace, ruin, injury from beast, unjustified enmities, sudden emergence of deep unconscious issues.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, there, I was looking at the ascendant 2211 Aquarius. There are two that there's one at 2147 and one at 2307. So it's right between both of these. The one at 2147 Aquarius is writing, government, religion overcomes evil.
Hmm.
The one at 2307 is gives friendship and sagacity. Sagacity? Sagacity? Is that how it's pronounced?
I think your guess is as good as mine. I'm terrible at pronunciation.
And the love of pleasure.
Now that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just gonna see if there's one on Saturn.
That was gonna be, yeah. Uh,
There's a 5 degrees, 36 minutes.
Yeah.
Passionate, blindly good-hearted, easily seduced, healer with herbs. Never mind. Scratch that.
What was it? What passionate?
Passionate, yes.
Well, I mean, I would say that the cops,
Detective Mustard.
yeah, sounds like he's in fucking the game Clue or something. Colonel Mustard. Sorry, I should.
I know. Yeah. I know I've only said it 30 times, but just go watch it, guys. Go watch this documentary. You got to see this guy.
But this fucking guy was he had a lot of passion
Yeah,
for his shit.
he did. Let's go on to the next chart, like the next
Okay.
development here. So that's when she was taken. This is going to be the chart when he wakes up. And he's kind of like, you know, again, he's groggy. The guy's had NyQuil. What was the other one? Diazepam?
Yeah, diazepam.
Thank you. This guy's knocked out, you know. So he's waking up. We got the Gemini ascendant. We're getting that multiple victim thing going on here.
Yeah, we are.
Now, so he wakes up. Remember, he doesn't immediately call police because he's been told not to. He's been told he's being watched on camera. Don't make any wrong moves. You know, he's like, he doesn't know what the hell to do here. So he's kind of riding it out a little bit at this point. You know, we got, if we're looking at like the new chart ruler here, they're going to be the Mercury and Pisces. Or we can kind of follow what was going on in the old chart, which was like that Uranus, that big stellium. It's now in the 11th house.
Yes.
Now the moon, it's, you know, right there on that 12th house cusp. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's just left the 12th house, but according to horary rules, it's still there because it's within 3 degrees. I really feel like this is Denise. You know, I really feel like this is her because we saw the moon in the 3rd house before. She's in the car. Now we can kind of see what's happening to her. She was put through a lot during the time she was held captive. And I just feel like coming out of that 12th house, it just reflects that she has had danger and been in danger. And
yeah, absolutely. So, that Pluto in the 7th also kind of feels dangerous in terms of the perpetrator.
yeah. Now, if we follow this, you know, that moon leaving the 12th here, like you know, the police assume she was just dead. They just assume this boyfriend probably killed her, whatever. I mean, we're seeing it leave these death houses though. Like it's active. Like it's so obvious she's not.
Yes.
Of course, you know, this is hindsight. We're looking back, but like it's just there was just so much wasted time here.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Yeah, there was. And also, you know, another thing about in the last chart, you know, we had Saturn would have been the traditional ruler of the chart, right at the very top, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Mercury in this chart in the 10th house. It does point towards, or you know, signs of her being found, right?
Yeah.
They are definitely there. Or eventually, you know, being found.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and pop to the next chart because we got like 4 charts here. Let's just kind of go through some of these. Like there's that. And then here's the next step. Here's when he does call police because at this point he's like, my girlfriend's gone. Like I got to take a chance here. I don't care if this guy's going to come get me. I gotta report this. You know, I'm sorry. I'm just I'm trying to like vocalize probably what's going on in his head here. So he calls police, and this again, the 911 call is on this documentary. And this, we got the Cancer ascendant, and I feel like we just got to follow the moon on these charts. We just got to follow the moon to see what's going on with her. But so now that moon is in the 10th house. I feel like, okay, this is being reported. This is being like,
yeah, it's known. It's being known.
It's known. This poor guy, I'm still following Mercury for Aaron. It's just the way I'm going with this. It's like getting ready to go into that 8th house, which is, death or hidden, or I feel like this is like he's getting pulled in here now, going into kind of a dark place.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. I want to kind of look at the 10th house ruler here, which would be Mars, because we got the 10th house in Aries, and this is going to be where we're finding like the police activity, or police response attitude. And man, you got Mars right there in the 10th house in Aries, in a strong sign.
And you've got Uranus right there too.
When those two get together.
Yeah. It definitely explains the quickness, the
quick judgment.
It does. Sudden judgment. Yeah, it does. Like just wanting to wrap it up fast.
Yeah. Like, we know what happened. Just confess. And this poor guy, he's like, are you even going to go look for her? Like, he's like,
yeah.
He had been worried sick. I'm just going to see if there's a fixed star on that Mars. We got 23 degrees, 16 minutes. That's decently close. Success in public office. Let me tell you something about this guy. Let me tell you something about Mustard.
Colonel Mustard.
Mean Mr. Mustard. Beatles fan here. But okay. So once you watch this series, you're going to realize, like, this police department, they handled this poorly.
Yeah.
Handled it really. I mean, they had to pay out a settlement to these people, by the way. They publicly shamed these people, saying this was a hoax, that, again, wasted resources. They try to get this guy to confess. They try to make him believe he fails a polygraph, I know he wasn't held against his will, but the guy doesn't feel like he can leave, there's all this, like, what I consider kind of corrupt.
Yeah.
Handling, yeah. Anyway, this Mustard guy gets like police of the year or some like chief of the year. I don't know, whatever, but like a big ass award, I mean, for his great service this year. Like,
and it's like, are you kidding? Is this a joke?
And I don't want to like spoil it, but like basically this case got solved. Denise and Aaron got validation by a detective in a whole other jurisdiction who was trying to like find who these victims were and solve this crime and solve like other crimes that this perpetrator had done. So I don't know, just because a fixed star says like public success, I just wanted to bring that up. But he did get publicly awarded for being a great cop.
Yeah. I was going to say corruption. I'm looking in that's a Pluto thing.
Makes sense.
It does. Okay, in the 6th house in the workplace.
In service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
they're good cops out there. I'm not
Absolutely.
like, I just want to say they're good cops out there. The one handling this case, not so much, but like, yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately that line of work, can sometimes attract that kind,
I want to do a study on this because, like, sorry, a little side note. This is Gemini time where we go to another subject. I feel like a lot of police officers have 12th house placements, or sometimes a lot of Pisces.
Mhm.
You tend to get a lot of that. I don't know where I'm going with that. I just want to do a study and like get a list of all the police officers, what their ascendant, like the big threes are, or if they have 12th house stuff. I just would love to know that because when we're talking about what kind of people are attracted to certain positions, I feel like that's what police officers are. But 12th house rules prisons and stuff like that too,
It does. Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. And other forms of like institutions.
Yeah. Back to this case. I just wanted
Okay. I was looking at Uranus, the 1540 Aries. And also the midheaven 1303. There is one at 1418, which is kind of between both of those. Popularity, independence, and honors. So I think that could also be pointing towards that guy, maybe,
yeah.
getting some kind of acclaim.
Yes. And there is a good cop in the story. It's the detective. She's in, I think, Alma D. I don't know. Just anyway, the detective who cracked the case was a female and was a great cop, by the way. So just to kind of offset.
There are good ones, yeah.
Yeah. Not the ones interviewing Aaron Quinn, but yes, other ones are good. Okay. So here, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next chart. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about on this one?
No.
All right.
No, I think
So she is released. What and if you follow this whole saga, you find that the perpetrator, the kidnapper, he actually has a conscience. Like it's really strange because usually with criminals they don't have that, and he lets her go. He feels kind of bad and anyway, so it's just an interesting thing going on here in the psychology, but he lets her go. And the fact that she was so close, like within walking distance to her dad's place, this was another thing that made cops think that she had made this up, because she's caught on camera just casually walking up, but she had been through a lot, but this is when she appears. We now have the moon into a new sign in Gemini.
yes, we do. And we have those planets. We have Uranus and Mars that were in the 10th before. Now they're in the 12th. How do I want to phrase it? I'm not censoring myself. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want. It's something like, like they like law enforcement in that other chart, like very gung-ho, like, okay, he did it, confess. And it's like at this point they're not backing down, but it's like
they're changing it to like, you're a killer, to you guys made this up just to.
Yeah, there's some like the 12th house can also be a place where things aren't super clear.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What's interesting, the sun rules the perpetrator from the first chart, like if we're following the planets. He's kind of like in the 11th house, still out in the open. He is they find out, I'm trying to remember, I'm sorry, it was such a long documentary, but basically he was a Harvard graduate lawyer.
And a Marine.
And a Marine, had served in the military. And, it's like.
Yes. He had been disbarred though, I believe.
Yeah. Yes.
right?
Yes, yeah, about that. Yes. Which, you find like you can see military stuff in the 11th house.
Uh-huh.
But you also see like groups of people, and there's something about him just blending, when I'm looking at this chart. He's like still out there, and it's just strange. Strange.
Yeah. He's still out there, and yeah. And I'm wondering, speaking of the strange, you've got that Aquarius, midheaven, which is kind of, I don't know, like strange too. What was the degree in the first chart of the ascendant?
It was 22 degrees.
Okay, I thought maybe I couldn't remember. I thought maybe it was closer to like the degree of that midheaven.
It was 22 degrees, 11 minutes at the time she was taken. Yeah.
You do have in this chart, from the law enforcement angle with that midheaven, you do have a modern ruler Uranus in the 12th, which does kind of also, just like taking the Mars thing out and what I said before, kind of like, I don't know, law enforcement not being completely on the up and up.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah. I don't really think they ever got an apology. They got a payout. They sued, and won, but
Yeah. I think because I watched the first 2 episodes of the documentary, and then my TV or my remote had a seizure. I don't know. And I wasn't able to move. I don't know what the hell was going on with it. So I kind of read like the synopsis, things that happened, so that I could pretend like I finished it. And I think it was after the settlement. I think was it after the settlement? I know there was somebody, the person who was like chief of police down the line, I think like in 2019 or 2020, did kind of apologize. But again, I don't think he had anything to do with this. I don't think they ever got an apology from
from Mustard.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they ever got an apology from that fucking guy.
Yeah. That guy should apologize. And if maybe he hasn't, I just don't know. I don't know. I doubt it. But
I doubt it too.
Yeah. Here's one thing I like about this chart is the 4th house. We got Jupiter here in Leo, and such a public sign. And this is kind of like the end of the outcome here. I mean, this poor girl went through a lot. And the documentary will go more into her story, but this poor girl, she's been through so much trauma. What I like here though is that there seems to be like life really improves for her going forward, should I spoil? It's not really spoiler. Can I say what happens to her and Aaron, or should I let everyone watch the documentary?
I don't know.
I'm just gonna say it. If you want to like be surprised, watch documentary, you can like pause. But they end up married.
Yeah.
End up married, and they get the settlement, and they're like living their life and have children, and it's like happy family stuff.
It's very unusual in the sense that they get like, yeah, I mean they turn out well.
Yeah.
They end up well, and these don't always or oftentimes go like that. So it's cool when it's seen.
Yeah. And the perpetrator was caught, and he pled guilty. He didn't even fight it.
Nope, he didn't. He got 40 years, and then I think he got another, I think I read he got another 30 years for something else. Yeah. So yeah, he was caught. They'll have to, yeah.
So there you go. Totally interesting and weird.
Yes.
Kind of the theme this week is weird shit. So
yeah, weird shit.
I think these were appropriate to fall under that category. And yeah, well, Ellie, thank you for going through the charts. I mean, thank you for providing the charts and finding all the time and doing everything where I just had to show up. Thank you. I'll do better next week. Please let everyone know where they can find you.
Okay, you can find me on YouTube at Saturn Season Astrology. You can find me on Instagram at Saturn Season Astrology, and you can find me on the website at saturnseason.com. And Brandy, where can you be found? I know we're here, but
You
still.
find me here. And then you can also find me at brandyburrowastrology.com and Brandy Burrow Astrology on social media, Instagram, Facebook. And yeah, connect with us and let us know your thoughts about the astrology. And yeah, we'd love to see what you guys see in the charts as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll be back soon with another one. Again, thank you, Ellie. And thanks everyone for watching. And by the way, like subscribe, like the video. It really lets us know that you like us and you enjoy the content. And go over to Ellie's channel and do the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next time.